Hello and welcome to Forza Naples. I am Ian Anderson, and we have had a ton of stuff happen since our last episode dropped. FC Naples is currently sitting second in USL League One. They have advanced in the US Open Cup. Some huge changes coming out of USL as a whole. Paul, what do you make of all of this?
I think we talked about it in our first episode, and I'm really excited. I think just the fact that this league is becoming kind of what we hoped it would be. I think both of us were excited just to have a pro soccer team, but I think we both dreamed that it could become a team that could be playing in the top of American football. And I can't believe I said football, even though this is a soccer podcast. Got the English in me that I don't have in my blood. I think it's really cool that Naples could become a team that's playing against the other best teams in the country. And we're in on the ground floor. We're year one, and we really could see this team go from the bottom all the way to the top of U.S. soccer.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy to think about, and something we did talk on that first ever episode about the possibility of pro rel coming, and it's here coming in 2028.
Yeah, and I'm just excited for the downfall of the MLS. I think that would be if the USL could take over MLS. I think that could be another good thing for American soccer because everybody kind of has this negative connotation with the MLS. So the USL could be a rebrand of um, of American football, and it's going to be a couple years down the road. So the MLS has a window, but I can't see these two leagues merging in any way. I think that the business side of the MLS owners would not, with the money they've spent on clubs, would not agree to any form of a relegation promotion system. So it really is going to become USL versus the MLS. And quite frankly, the USL's already more accessible to fans.
Absolutely.
And you got to pay, I don't know how much it is this year. I didn't buy the MLS package because my team is on ESPN Plus. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a huge advantage.
Would you rather have a bunch of smaller teams playing with a terrestrial TV deal that you could watch week in and week
Hmm.
out on a CBS Sports Network and then streaming on ESPN Plus with your membership, or would you rather pay extra money for this 10-year deal that the MLS has with Apple just to stream MLS games on Apple? I know which one I would rather do, and I love the local aspect of here's your team, and it's smaller markets that have these teams, and like if you're a Chattanooga fan, you're going to support Chattanooga Red Wolves over Nashville SC, who's hours away, and I really think that could be successful in the States.
Well, and you look at just the fact that people from Naples, I mean, yeah, you have Inter Miami, but I've known more about the Tampa Bay Rowdies, being a little closer. Um, but it's one of those things that the MLS, what are they at, 30, 32 teams now? So yes, it's a big league, but you're going to be looking at potentially twice the amount of teams in the USL. Um, and it'll be hopefully a bunch of smaller but more loyal fan bases. We've seen how beloved the Everblades are in town, and that there's no hope for bigger and better things. Like they are what they are. We've always known. I think there's people that have hoped for a move to the A, but that's probably never going to happen. Versus now you got a team who, yes, we're in the bottom league, and obviously the top flight isn't in existence yet, but you know even if it takes a couple years, you could end up in the top flight.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy to think about, and I'm sure we'll get into later in this episode how we think all that's going to work. But right now, our boys in the blue and gold are sitting second in the league after
Hmm.
defeating Forward Madison 2-0 off the backs of a couple great performances, great individual players, but also just a great overall game plan executed by the team. Great game plan that Matt Poland came up with. It worked, seemed to work very well. Just a solid overall performance.
Yeah, and you got the opening, the first real open play goal. Both goals, I believe, came in the first half.
Yep, Carson
Um,
Henderlong with both of them.
kind of later in the first half. Um, but again, it's cool that even though I wasn't in town for it, I could hop on my computer wherever I'm at in the world, and maybe not the world. I don't know, ESPN Plus and USL League One's international plan, but anywhere in the country you can hop on and enjoy watching the game. And I thought the quality was pretty good. I assume you're at the game,
Yes, I
of
was at the
course.
game up in the beer garden.
Good. You
Um,
have no excuse. You don't have to take a plane to get to the game.
this is
Um,
true.
so and I thought the announcing was good. It was energetic. It was a quality um, production, which is not what I was expecting after you told me that this was on ESPN Plus. That'd be almost in my mind. It was going to be without a commentator, so that's already a
Yeah,
win. That there's some
not like the high
commentating.
school games where it's set
Hmm.
up the Sony Handycam and let it film the entire
Let it
field.
fill. Mhm. Yeah, so, it was pretty cool seeing the goal celebrations, on TV. So I think it was a quality product, and, I think we both thought that at times it was a tad boring, but it seems like you talked about last episode that the defense is gonna be our backbone, and it's proven true.
Yeah, it really showed. I felt like we really did a good job of limiting Madison's big chances. Delgado had a great save, nominated for
Yes,
save of the week.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal save, point blank range, and he just gets a hand to it, tips it over the bar.
Mhm,
That was pretty early on in the game, and then
mhm.
it seemed like we just kind of got stuck in and just didn't let them get anything really going in the final third, and then just waited for them to make mistakes at the back. The first goal, that's how that happened. 26 minutes in, or 23 minutes in, excuse me. We put them under a poor back pass, and Henderlong's there to take advantage, and
Yep.
he did. He took it right off of him. This was their Madison's first league game, and I think that really showed. When these two teams meet again later in the season, it'll be interesting for me at least to see how they have adapted and kind of gotten to know each other a little better. But yeah, I thought it was a very well executed game plan. Like we've been saying, we're going to be a defense first team, and that really showed. And we got stuck in, and then used Onan and Henderlong and Farin even to unlock their pace and just really put them under pressure. So they were pretty shaky at the back.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, you only have one game on tape and like you don't know, is that the team's identity or is that a one-off? Like you said, I think down the road teams are hopefully not, but they'll probably adjust. We saw that with Forest in the Premier League. Midway through the year they went through a little shaky patch just because you got film and you can make
Yeah,
adjustments, and then it's up to the coach for Naples when that inevitably happens to make the necessary secondary adjustments. So it'll be interesting to see as it goes. But teams all over the world have won playing that style, and um, makes for boring games at times.
right. When I think we
But
had less than 30% of the total possession.
I think in both games, I think the first game too, it was only
Yeah,
you know. But if we can be a team that capitalizes on those counters, that's what gets exciting. And if we can get to a position where we just keep we never get nervous when they're in the back third. In our, that's when as a fan you can kind of get comfortable with how the team's style, and even though it's a tad boring to watch, I think I would rather have a team that's boring to watch, that wins,
yeah.
that
Winning games and counterattacking football
is so exciting.
is so exciting. Yes, you get to watch the other team kind of pass the ball around a lot, but then like the second goal that came about 41st minute, it was just an errant pass in the middle of the field, and boom, we're on it, and then they're kind of all still arms up in the air. What are we doing? And next thing you know, Henderlong's in, and he's put in the back of the net.
What's good for the common new fan is sometimes it's hard when you're watching teams like what's a dangerous chance. And that's the fun thing about the counterattack is it's always dangerous. You kind of
Yeah,
you get that 3-on-2, 4-on-2,
you can't look
break.
away because you never know when
You
it's gonna
mhm.
happen.
Versus, if you're playing in, playing pass, 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 maybe get a cross that gets a lucky header, like that's less, it's hard for the fan to kind of appreciate that, but the attacking, the countering, you know, I can just see the stands kind of when you get that opportunity, everybody on their feet, the cheering gets louder. Um, and I think that that'll be a fun way, kind of convenient for us that both of our teams play the same relative style
Yeah.
of the sport.
And it does seem like both teams are willing to adapt slightly their game plans and aren't just going to come out and say, "Okay, we play a 4-3-3. Here's what we're doing."
Hmm.
Because we did actually have most of the possession in the first game, although it didn't seem like it. We did
That's
have
true.
a lot
That's
more
true.
possession, and we were able to kind of, we weren't hitting them just on the breaks. We were moving the ball forward, kind of on the breaks.
Mhm.
Where this game it was, we're going to sit back. You guys come at us. Oh, you're giving up the ball now. Here we go. Get back. Um,
Yeah. Which all goes back to the whole, it's hard, we're going to do it, but it's hard to kind of, without speaking to anybody on the team or any of the coaching staff, it's hard to say based on just watching even 3 games now that this is 3 games in league in team history. This isn't
right.
2 or 3 years. Hey, this is the same coach. This is how he does it. 3 games in the team's history, and you know it it's hard to say this is what they'll do all year, or maybe it's he's trying things out and saying, hey, let's try a few things out early, find our identity, find what works best. Um, and as long as we're not dropping points, sitting there at
Yeah.
4 points is something I think we both would have taken, especially with Forward Madison's historic success over, in past years.
Yeah. So to already have 4 points from 2 games, 2 home games at that,
Hmm.
is awesome to sit up in second. You just got to keep banking points if you want to make the playoffs at the end of the year. Every point, every point's going to
Which
matter.
it's going to be interesting because I haven't really followed MLS like that. It's different than European football where it's not as where you need points. At the end of the day, you need points. It's less so about wins. Obviously, wins help because you get more points. But what are your thoughts on almost managing games differently because the metric for success, that's kind of always been the argument with American soccer is what's the most important thing. And obviously
Right.
cups are always good to win, but do you win the league? Do you sit at home all off season when we're the league champs, or do you need to win the playoffs to feel, you know, obviously you would take winning the league in the regular season, but would you rather win the league in the regular season or win the playoffs? If you only had to pick
Yeah.
one, I think we both would pick winning the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. You want to be the last, you want to win your last game of the
Hmm.
year. And you want that game to mean something and not just be a one off of, oh, this is for 13th place. You want to win that last game of the year, and that's that championship game.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Whether you're eighth and you make the playoffs and then you go on a run, um, winning the playoffs for sure. I would take that all day. Couple key players from that game who really stood out to me. I mean, obviously Hender Long, the pride of Indiana, with 2 goals. He really came into his own. And then going back and just rewatching the highlights from the first game, he's kind of seems like he might be a sleeping giant. Played formerly for Indy 11, and he never really was able to break into their squad. But 3 games in, 3 goals, because I believe he scored again against Sarasota Paradise
Think so.
on Tuesday. It's impressive stuff from him so far. He really seems like he's primed for a breakout season. Another one who I talked about in our warm up pod, just the quick one, Jaded Onan, former Forward Madison player, had an assist in that game, and again was just ready to put him under. That was what I kept yelling anytime they made a poor pass at the back. I was like, put him under, put him under. Onan's right there, and he's forcing something.
Yeah, and we were talking about Indy 11. I mean, it's tough to break that squad. It's probably, I would argue, one of the most beloved soccer teams in the United States. I mean, there was outrage. I think they were talking about folding or something. Was
Yeah,
in national news because the Indy or they brought in a MLS team, right? Is that what they did? They bring an MLS team to
They
Indianapolis,
they were trying to bring an MLS team
and
into
they were like,
Indianapolis.
we like our
Yeah,
Indy 11. And it's funny now for the people of Indianapolis, like that's also, back to the expansion and the relegation and all that, you know, kind of shows that this league does have, not necessarily league, but this branch of US soccer, does have the foundation to
yeah,
have long-term success.
yeah. I mean, even Forward Madison's got a huge following. There was Forward Madison fans at the game, which also I think we have to give a shout out to the excellent Naples crowd. And talking to some of the people working at the stadium, they were going, "Yeah, we after we got through the first game, we thought, okay, that's got to be the hardest game of the year because we won't have another 4,600 plus crowd again." And then boom, we've
Was
got
it sold out
4,000.
again?
Yeah, another sellout. First two
Wow.
games sold out, which was awesome to see. And
How long did security take?
credit to the club, credit to the management team. No security lines whatsoever. Super smooth. Everyone I talked to was like, "Wow, way to adapt." They had bag free lines. They did invest in your metal detectors, Paul. You'll be happy to know. They had regular metal detectors. Didn't have to wand everyone down. It was
Nice.
a great response. Um, Beer kept flowing. It seemed like they worked out a lot of the kinks from the first game, and looking forward to just seeing it get better. That match day experience get better every
That's
week.
it's funny, as much as we talk, I didn't even ask about either of those things. Even though that's kind of what I was most looking forward to with match day 2 was how would the crowds be? Can we match the energy? And did they do, I wasn't sure if it would take 1 game, 2 games, 3, I wasn't sure how many games it would take for them to fix it. And the fact that, their Yelp review is going to be going up because
Yeah,
that quick turnaround, and it goes back to the ownership group and kind of how that, the owner seems very, you know, humbled and appreciative, of the fans. He really seems to be, he's in the crowd. He's not in a box. He's not hidden. He's out there at all these team events. Um, and he's just investing so much. And also, really great for him. All this news, like it just keeps getting better. And it's
yeah,
hard to believe that after how much fun and success that we've had in the first few months, that it's only going to keep going up. And it seems like we have an ownership group who's willing to do what it takes to um, keep the improvements.
yeah. Absolutely. They seem very receptive to everything and anything to improve the overall match day experience. Um,
Did you catch a
really,
ball this game? Any
I
balls off the?
did not catch a ball this game, unfortunately.
I'm waiting to find out if I catch a soccer ball or a puck from the Blades. I've been going to Blades games for 27 years and have caught zero. So really hoping for that soccer ball, even though I don't get to keep it. Unless it's late game, maybe we'll see what can happen.
Yeah,
See if it's
just
late.
grab it
See
and
if I don't
run,
net.
see how far you get.
Yeah, yeah. It seems
Which
like they got less security, so
I
maybe
mean,
I'll have
there
some
we did
success.
have a kid on the field at one point who outran security by a mile, and then eventually security just kind of cornered him and did get him off the field. Which props to security, but that around the 80th minute, that got the crowd back into things.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get with an FC Naples game. First, you got a fight. Now you got guys running on the field. It's who knows what we're going to see match day 3, which I will um, hopefully will be at after your day of days of football.
Yeah. Yeah, should be a fun game, match day 3. Yeah, that game. You never know what you're gonna get, and you never know who's coming with all the travel in this league. You never know who's coming in and who's just gonna start cramping up 40 minutes in from the heat and humidity
Yeah.
on both sides. um,
It's what will be interesting is, so I had Saints season tickets this year, and I went to a lot of games and talked to a lot. It seemed like there's always really good road teams showing, and it typically was because they're like, hey, New Orleans is a destination city. There's a lot of stuff to do, so I'll be curious to see where Naples falls in that. This time of year, beautiful weather. It is pricey, but if you were going to follow your team. I think we talked about this earlier in one of the earlier pods too, like looking at the locations for the other teams. I mean, Naples really is
yeah,
probably the
Naples.
best. Um,
all
You know,
bias aside,
all
it's
bias aside.
clearly the best city in this league, in both USL leagues and MLS even in there.
I mean, the only other one I would say that could rival is Charlotte just because of the ease of getting there. But everywhere else, like Knoxville isn't easy to get to. I mean, who wants to go to Madison in March? I mean, that's just, you
Yeah.
know,
I'd love
uh,
to go to Madison over the summer, maybe catch
oh, it could be.
or in the fall, catch a Wisconsin game and
Yeah.
even like Portland comes to town on the 29th. Like I think Portland, Maine would be a fun city to go visit.
Yeah.
Um, AV Alta seeing their new stadium out in California. Lancaster, I had no idea where Lancaster is, but now I know, and it does look like a cool town.
Well,
Same with
I don't know where that is.
it is just outside of Los Angeles. It looks like.
Okay. All right. What about Texoma? What is that? What is
I
Texoma?
believe it's right between Texas and Oklahoma. Um, that one I do not have on my away day list. But like to get up to Westchester or Chattanooga, all cities I have. Greenville, I have heard good things about.
Maybe it's a city. I just tried looking it up and it was not very. The initial Google search was not. It just said USL's coming to Texoma. Like maybe it's a city. I
They, I did see lost their first Open Cup match to a semi-pro side, which that's a good segue into our second game that we are recapping. Sarasota Paradise 1, FC Naples 2. FC Naples squeaks out of Lakewood Ranch because, of course, Sarasota Paradise does not play in Sarasota. They play in Lakewood Ranch. And if you know, those are two completely different places.
Hey, Inter
Squeaks out of
Miami
Lakewood
does it.
Ranch.
Inter Miami does it. All the
Yeah,
all the great teams do it. Yeah.
they're not in Pompano Beach or wherever the heck
No.
that stadium's
Nope.
located, not even in Miami-Dade County.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
What's the city name? I mean, technically, if we do want to get technical, we don't play in Naples. We do play in unincorporated Collier County, but
Unincorporated Collier County United. I think that could be a good.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Okay, fair.
I
So I
like it.
guess we can't give them too much black.
At
But
least if you were to write a letter to the stadium, you would say the city is Naples. If you were to
yeah,
write a letter to Sarasota Stadium, you would say the city is Lakewood Ranch. Just saying.
I think it's interesting, and this is where the U.S. Open gets fun. They're like a semi-pro, like they're not USL.
Yeah,
They're
so they play in USL League Two, which is a developmental league, which is
okay.
mostly young adults that play college soccer.
Okay.
The issue with the Open Cup starting this early is college soccer, college fall season is currently ongoing. So they had a bunch of adult amateur players playing for them and had less than a month's notice to start training for this. So much like how we're a brand new team, they're also pretty much a brand new team. And hats off to Sarasota. I thought they played very well. They knew, again, kind of like Naples did against Madison. They had a game plan and they just wanted to disrupt us in the final third, and they did a great job of that. Paul, I know we both started watching the first half, and Naples couldn't really get anything going. Sarasota couldn't really get anything going, and
Yep.
March Madness is starting too.
Yep.
So
And
throw the
that
March
St.
Madness
Francis game
on.
got really good about the same time the FC Naples game got really good, which is unfortunate. And I probably need to do better screen management in March. It's just something I'm working on. Um, but I mean, obviously Sarasota misses a penalty.
Yeah, great
Um,
save by Delgado. Question: I did continue to watch the game because I'm a sicko for the Open Cup,
yep.
especially. And I did get up and start screaming, "Ball don't lie, ball don't lie, ball don't lie," when he saved the penalty because I thought it was a soft penalty to begin with. Upon the replay, he couldn't really tell. I thought he went down way too easy, and he took a poor touch, took the easy out, went down. Penalty given. Naples was up 1-0 at that point. After
I
no,
thought
no,
no,
it
they
was nil
weren't.
nil.
We didn't
You're
score
right.
till
Yeah,
like the 70 something, 77
79th
maybe.
minute, Henderlong came on and scored.
Hmm.
But for them to keep it at 0-0, and then that
Yeah.
really did. Yeah, you're right, because then that's kind of lit the spark and got us going in attack and got Henderlong his goal once he came on.
It's amazing what a missed penalty will do to a team. it's just like one of those things. You're in a tough game. It's 0-0. You get the penalty, and you everybody on in your fan base, your whole team, including the takers, probably in the goalie. Everybody on the pitch is thinking in 30 seconds we're going to be down, 1-0 or we're going to be up 1-0. Like it's one of those things that saving a penalty is probably the biggest momentum swinger in sports. And I think that when people say stuff like that, it's dramatic, but I really, outside of like a pick six in football or, something like that, in no other sports because of the low scoring. I mean, that changes
Yeah,
everything, and it changes your demeanor. I never played soccer, but I can imagine I miss a penalty that you're kind of kicking yourself in the next few minutes. And occasionally you'll see a guy get the hunger goal, but typically that guy is now out of play for the next foreseeable future.
yeah. It did seem to really light that spark and just get something going for us. Just we were kind of not cohesive. He did. There was some squad rotation with the starting 11. Not everyone started, which I mean, is to be expected, especially when you have to then hop on a flight and get to Spokane, Washington for a game Saturday afternoon their time,
You don't think they're
7 p.m.
busing?
Eastern.
You don't think they take
I
buses?
I sure hope they're not busing from Sarasota to Spokane.
You think you think they're taking Allegiant? I think they fly probably out of Sarasota. I'm curious. Oh,
Is Sarasota to Spokane on Allegiant does track for where
right.
Allegiant for some of those Allegiant routes.
Allegiant needs to become the official sponsorship of the USL or Spirit. One of these budget airlines needs to become the official airline and have these fun routes. Make it easy for
I
the
like it,
fans.
and it is those budget airline cities that
Mm-hmm.
that are in this league. It does
Mm-hmm.
seem like
Or
absolutely,
American, maybe. I mean, you can just fly everybody in and out through Charlotte, and
yeah.
boom. That's another good one. They need USL needs to hire me. We need to start making these deals.
I love it. Or we need a team in Newark and then a team in Atlanta, and then you've got all three
Well,
major
yep.
airlines covered.
Then it's dealer's choice. Dealer's
Yeah,
choice of who
and
who
then you
takes it.
just say, hey, well, if you're a USL fan, we'll fly your bags for free, unlike Southwest, and
Perfect.
boom, everyone's there.
So, yeah, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how as the progress, it'll be interesting to see what they take more seriously, if it's going to be the U.S. Open Cup or the Jägermeister Cup. Curious to see, because I think in soccer it seems to be more important, at least at the start, and then eventually you get to a point where you're either trying to win it because you've made it that far, unless you're in a situation where you're fighting relegation, which I was surprised, like Ipswich against Forest. Like I was surprised the product they put on, and maybe they've just accepted relegation, and that's why they fought so hard. But you kind of see in the build up, in theory, right, a USL one team should not be losing to the developmental team. Like in theory,
Right.
obviously it can happen, but you're thinking our subs can at least get out of there with a draw.
Yeah.
Um,
And they did come in once the subs did get made, and Delgado saves the penalty. It was a different game from then on. Their goal, I thought, came actually against the run of play. I thought we were the better side for that from the time the penalty was saved through when we scored, through even when they scored. And then they capitalize on our mistake at the back. He's in. Delgado makes a great first save. Unfortunately, we were just not able to get back quick enough and clear it off the line. But then Kevin O'Connor, or Irish Kevin De Bruyne, as I like to call him, comes in,
nice,
saves
love
the
the
day,
nicknames.
stoppage time goal, and seals us into the next round of the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, good win. Like at the end of the day, first road test. Regardless of who the competition is,
Yeah, first road
we
game,
don't.
first debut of the new away kit too.
Mm, yeah, I will say the YouTube clip. It was hard to get a read on how clean that they were.
It's
I
if you like a white polo with a blue collar, the away kit is for you.
for you, yeah. So it again, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know who we have next in the U.S. Open Cup. I don't know if that's even been released or.
No, so I
Um,
believe the draw will happen this weekend or this Friday, and then the games are scheduled to take place actually over April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I believe, are the next dates. So They'll have a play Spokane, and then home for Portland Hearts of Pine, and then right back into the Open Cup.
Interesting if I will be having to change some travel plans. Because I currently am leaving Tuesday. But if there's a because there's a Forest game, so I'm flying out late Tuesday. We'll have to see if a
Stick
Tuesday
around for the
night.
Open Cup. See if we
Yeah,
get a home draw, maybe against one of the bigger USL teams.
I think yeah, because I can't imagine. I imagine maybe the next round is when the MLS starts feeding in. I don't know how many rounds. I would be lying if I said I was super familiar with the U.S. Open Cup and outside of kind of the history of it, but the actual breakdown of it. I know the MLS was talking about removing their teams from it, which I think's all going back to their downfall.
Yeah, this is, I mean, where else can you have a game played on a college campus and you have a backup goalkeeper come on as a striker and then he blasts a penalty in during the shootout to win it for him?
Who doesn't
That's
want
not
that?
that's not happening in MLS. That's not happened anywhere else in CONCACAF. I would go out to say, and CONCACAF is wild. This
Yeah.
Open Cup is
Mm-hmm.
it's the greatest tournament of all tournaments, and I will stand by that take.
Is it putting March Madness to shame? That's the question. Is it better
Oh,
than this one?
absolutely.
Okay. All
Do
right.
you have, I mean, does March Madness take place on a pitch that is basically just a community park with some porta potties and bleachers, and that game also goes to penalty kicks?
Mm. It's
That
like when
was
you're
the
watching like the Costa Rican Premier League and you're like, what is this? I like love when the men's national team travels to some of these CONCACAF uh pitches and it's just well, what are we doing?
it's
What you can't put some like something. I know these countries can be poor, but something.
yeah,
Something.
just inject all of it into my veins. Just the absolute chaos of, I mean, some questionable refereeing decisions,
Those are the
just
best.
random red cards and yellow cards. You've got coaches getting yellow cards for just I give me all of it. It's
All of
streaming
it.
on YouTube. Just I want all of
Also,
it.
big win. Big win.
Yeah,
Where's the Jägermeister Cup? Is that also on ESPN Plus? I
I
hope so.
believe it's going to be on ESPN Plus because that's a USL product.
The only thing better for a soccer than ESPN Plus is the fact that when you said YouTube, I assumed it was some sort of YouTube TV subscription. And for the 2 to 6 US Open Cup games we'll play, I would probably not be paying for YouTube TV. But the fact
Nope,
that you can just
just
go right onto YouTube,
live on
Google it,
YouTube.
and I know you use the Fun Soccer app, but like ESPN does a great job tracking it too, like giving live updates, the full commentary. This league really does get treated. You know, Casey was like, I was like, oh, I'm watching the FC Naples game Saturday night. She's like, no, you're not. What bootleg service is showing that? And I was like, the bootleg service of ESPN Plus. And she's like, no way. I was like, it's good. You know, now the YouTube quality I would say was worse. It was not as good, but
Yeah,
um, and maybe that was just the that club. Maybe it'll be, I'll be curious to see. I've noticed that in other lower levels. That really depends on teams and stadiums, the quality of camera and audio you're gonna get. So we got our
yeah,
first chance Saturday. Uh, all I can think of when you hear Spokane is remember those old YouTube videos where the guy's like, I'm so and so from Spokane, Washington. And he does the music remixes. Wasn't he from, or
yes.
it was Tacoma?
He was
It's
Tacoma,
man.
but I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's all I think of. I'm gonna have to watch. That's what I'll be down the rabbit hole tonight. Paul
Coming at you
Brogan, is that
live
his
from
name?
Tacoma, Washington.
From Tacoma, Washington. Um, yeah, where and I think that let's uh let's see what they've got. They've got the one draw. That's right. They had the 2-2 draw um, against Knoxville. So
Yeah,
it'll
they
be
did.
interesting.
Second home game, limited travel for them. Um, they are actually playing today against Ballard FC in the Open Cup, who is a team from Seattle, it looks like. That game is at 10:30 p.m. the day we're recording this, which is Wednesday the 19th. So if you're listening to it, that game already finished. So check your local listings to see who won. But it did seem they scored 40th minute and then had an own goal by Knoxville. And then Knoxville actually came back to score in the 60th and then the 90 plus one to get the point. A key player for them seems like it's going to be Cameron Miller, center back. He's the guy that scored the goal. He just kind of seems like an all-around center back. He's all over the pitch, winning tackles, making plays. He's everywhere.
The rest advantage, hopefully, maybe will be big. It's kind of nice, and I imagine the U.S. Open Cup does that on purpose. I imagine your first 2-3 games are probably all local, probably like almost like a regional champion type deal.
Yeah, they do. It's all regional pots,
which is good. Good for the finances of obviously, that Sarasota team's not flying to Seattle for a cup game round one. But
which would be awesome. But yes, I agree.
Mean, yeah,
it
who
does
doesn't
make a lot
want
more sense?
2 developmental teams flying across the country for a round one cup match. It'll just be interesting to see, and for new soccer fans, that there's traditionally a difference in the way teams play at home versus away. And obviously we had a cup game on the road, but that's not a league game. So my curiosity will be, how aggressive is Spokane going to be? Because obviously the more aggressive a team is, the better the counter opportunities for us. And if that's how we're going to play, we're going to love playing on the road versus, typically the road team's a little more defensive. So I'll be curious to see if that trend continues and is a trend in the USL, as a first year fan of this league. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Matt Poland draws up, and that's a long way to go.
Yeah,
I think we're both assuming they flew out last night or early this morning, so they're out there Wednesday. You got a couple days,
couple days to get situated out there.
Different climate.
Yeah, it does seem like we do have a lot of USL League One veterans, guys that have played in this league before and dealt with the travel. It was interesting going on a Forward Madison podcast this past week, which shout out to them. He said Forward Madison, they pretty much exclusively sign guys that have experience with this league just because the travel is crazy. You're playing in Naples one week and then you're playing in Spokane, Washington the next week, and then you're in Portland, Maine the week after that. Like that's a toll on anybody, let alone a professional footballer.
It's got to be a top 5 travel schedule for soccer globally. I mean, obviously when you start talking Champions League, things get crazy. But domestically, I mean, maybe Brazil, in the MLS. Yeah. I don't even know if there's a Canadian league. I've never even heard of that. So,
there is the Canadian Premier League.
They don't strike me as obviously they've got an American coach for the national team. The national team's all right, but it doesn't really strike me as a big soccer country. They're obviously, Russia, because like England, right? Not a very big country.
Yeah, they freak out if they've got to travel more than 4 hours, and we're out here where our closest away day is 2+ hours away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even within our league.
Yeah, one-off. Yeah. I mean, if we play the Rowdies, that's our next closest, and then obviously the Miami, Fort Lauderdale teams, if we are fortunate enough to play either of them. But outside of that, right, Germany's big, but not bigger than what we have to cover in this league.
Anywhere where you can take a train, pretty much anywhere in the country. That, I mean, we're what, 2-3 flights away from Spokane at least.
Minimum.
You can probably get there from Atlanta if I had to guess.
I don't know, man.
But that's questionable.
If you're coming from Sarasota, you're right. You're probably going to one of the hubs on the East Coast, and you're probably going to a Denver. Is my guess? Is there, And I think that when we do get Matt Poland or one of the other players, when eventually somebody from Naples joins us on this pod, I think that's going to be my first question is just the logistics. I would enjoy talking to whoever's in charge of scheduling that stuff. That's got to be A, a nightmare, and B, it can't be cheap. Like that is not.
No, and we're doing this on a D3 budget too, which is It's
It
impressive
it goes
to
back
say the
to,
least.
for this league to have success, the owner's got to be committed, and it can't. I don't know what his expansion fee to buy the team was, but that was probably the cheapest part of owning this team. I mean, you got to fly all over the country, you know, weekly, and right, you think about, oh, that trip to Spokane's expensive. Well, guess what? You got to come back,
Yeah.
and then you play a game Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we're off till next Saturday. I don't think we play.
Yes.
We play Saturday. Um, but when you get these midweek cup fixtures, and now you're leaving Naples on Monday, I would assume that was a bus. I imagine that was a bus.
I imagine until the Bright Line expands and we can take the Bright
Until the
Line
weather,
from
which
Naples to Sarasota, which will be
yeah,
nice because that used to be an hour and a half drive when we were kids, and now it's at least two.
yeah, and then you hop on at least. I think I'm comfortable saying you're on at least two flights. I'm sorry, at least three flights. And then you got to do three flights back. Um, and these guys aren't. I doubt maybe Poland's flying first class at best, but I'm guessing you're flying coach, probably not even comfort plus, until this airline deal gets done,
Yeah,
with the USL. Um, get these boys some exit row. Get Delgado an exit row. I would follow him
at
off the
least.
plane if
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see how they come out, the fatigue, if any. Hopefully early in the year we're still fresh, but that, two games in a week starts to add up, and hopefully we're playing two games. We're playing the Jägermeister and US Open Cups midweek all year.
yeah, yeah. And just to confirm, back to your earlier point, I did double check ussoccer.com/Open Cup. The MLS teams look like they come in the round of 32, which we just completed the first round. So April 1st and 2nd will be the second round. And then the third round starts to bring in some more USL championship sides, it looks like. And then
Okay.
the round of 32 is scheduled to take place May 6th and 7th.
So that's like the fourth round.
Yeah, seems like it. And that's the round of
Okay.
32. The MLS teams will make their grand entrance.
Which is interesting because there's more than 32 MLS teams.
Yeah, it looks like only 16 MLS teams are competing in it. And then they've already seeded some of them will get home games. And then it looks like 8 teams enter from the championship will enter in the next round, have already entered in the first round. And then the 16 remaining teams will enter in the third round.
So we got to get through the first, next. Well, and are the Rowdies
The
or Fort
Rowdies
Lauderdale
will make an appearance in the
okay?
in the third round.
It's okay. So we hopefully won't get them. So hopefully be great for the USL to give us 2 cupcakes. Let us get to the big boys. They don't want us there. I just have a feeling that nobody's going to want to see us.
They're afraid of us.
They're afraid of us already. If we get a USL championship team next round, we'll know that the USL and the US Open Cup, US Soccer that runs that, they're scared.
They're rigging the random draw that they do.
Mm-hmm. Yep, those ping pong balls will have a few more FC Naples. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? The NBA draft, they're going to freeze the ping pong balls or something.
Yep. So they know. Yeah. They know which one.
They'll know exactly
which one
FC
Naples is, and they'll make sure. It's a road game, probably in the Northeast.
Probably.
That's my prediction. Bold prediction time. Round 2 is going to be where they are going to break away from regional play for us and send us to the Northeast in early April where it's freezing.
Yep.
Just throw us off.
Yeah, they don't want the teams coming down here to where it's warm and sunny and humid, and we'd have a home field advantage.
Oh. It's already stacked against us. We're 3 games in. It's already stacked against us.
Look at us already going full. The league is out to get us. 3 games in.
Naples versus everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, us versus the league.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have to come up with a name for that Sarasota v Naples derby because Sarasota is joining the USL League One next year.
League One.
And they kept calling it the Battle for Paradise, and that's just a stupid name. I'm sorry. We got to come up with something better than that.
you know, the ownership group has been great, so I'm not going to be critical of them. But to bend the knee that Sarasota is paradise, I mean, we got to draw a hard line somewhere. And I would understand if Fort Lauderdale, wanted. I could even accept Tampa, trying to claim that, which would be, um, but just to Sarasota, I mean, nobody goes there. That's a lousy city. Um, and I think maybe the problem becomes, do we want to establish a rivalry with them, or do we just want to hold out for the bigger, better Tampa Bay
Yeah, we
Rowdies?
could.
And I think that obviously it's going to be 2028 before that
Yeah, but we do have them in the
promotion relegation.
Jägermeister Cup July 4th, which I've had
Yeah,
that
so
game circled for
hmm,
since the fixtures came out.
hmm, that's going to be another interesting one. July 4th.
At home too.
Bold. I think that's a bold scheduling. I really do think that the way for them to be successful is to try to compete with as little things as possible.
I
So
think if they do a big fireworks show, and I think the county
That's
normally
true.
does the fireworks at the sports
Okay.
complex, I think they could get a
Yeah.
pretty big
A big
crowd against the
barbecue or
Rowdies.
something,
Yeah,
hot dogs, burgers, like they did game 1. Okay, I'm sold. I'm back on board, especially with this marketing team. Hopefully we get more Mick Ultra shirts. So funny. I was at the golf course yesterday and I was deciding between a Mick Ultra and a Yingling Flight. And I was like, but I got that shirt
you
from
got to go Mick
Mick
Ultra.
Ultra.
Yeah,
So what they did worked.
I got the Mick Ultra hat, my new golf hat.
You got to wear that next time.
You gotta.
Mick Ultra sponsorship inbound. Them and Allegiant. We'll get on it.
Sponsor us, two very amateur podcasters who
yeah, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what Pat McAfee once was. Yeah. Joe Rogan once yeah.
Very true. Very true. Paul, anything else you want to talk about on this episode before we go?
No, I think we good episode, got in a lot of stuff. I think we can push. There's plenty of time for our excitement about promotion relegation. We can save that for next time.
Stash it away into something to ponder file.
Yeah. Let the people think of the craziness that we're going to come up with for how that's going to work, with all of our insider knowledge on the USL.
Yeah. I want to pitch a tournament where every team is either going to win the championship or, like we had mentioned, do we just ditch playoffs altogether? Or I had seen, does USL just ditch playoffs altogether? But I think in the top division, you go massive tournament, NCAA style, one game, and you're in or out, 1 versus 20, and you just go from there. And if you lose, you go to the losers bracket for possible relegation. If you win, you go to the championship bracket for possible win the league. That's my big pitch.
I think we go for the golf style, the FedEx Championship game, where whoever's top of the league plays the bottom, and they're up 4-0 or 6-0.
That's a great idea, actually.
Something like that.
I could get behind that.
Yeah. So I'll get creative with the fun things that the USL can do. So when they ask me, I'll have my answers.
Yeah. Because MLS wouldn't do this. Style. Yeah. MLS just sits on top of their giant pile of gold like a dragon.
Yep. Like a leprechaun.
Yeah. They just sit there with their money and they keep taking it from supporters and jacking up their prices. Meanwhile, we have a beer garden at our stadium. How many MLS stadiums have that?
With tokens.
Yeah, come on.
If you're a season ticket holder, top that, Atlanta.
Right?
All we need is a Chick-fil-A. So I'll get on that too.
Yep.
Chick-fil-A. Okay.
Make it happen.
We got it. I got my tasking for the week.
So we got to get airline sponsorship, Mick Ultra sponsorship, Chick-fil-A at the stadium.
And I'm not quite sure if it's for us, our podcast, or for our team. Because I could also use some cheap Frontier flights.
I think we could do both.
Both.
Easily, yeah. As part of negotiating the deal for the team, we also get cheap flights.
That's why we're a good team.
Yeah, I love it.
I lob it up, you slam it home.
Paul, thank you so much again. And to all those listening at home, thank you so much for listening. We will see you soon.